welcome to another edition of The Way of the Most High. In the last video that I made, we discussed the bowl-shaped crescent moon that is closest to the first new moon of the scriptural year. We discussed equal daytime and nighttime, known as the equinox, which this year was closest to 3/7/2019 Roman date. We spoke about bird migrations, and of course, the Abib barley or barley wave sheaf. We also dealt with early Abib reports and precedents for years like this year, where there's an early new moon closest to the equinox and early harvest. One of the things that I love about the Torah is that YaHUAH actually gave a stipulation whereby if a person got it wrong, or they were unclean, or they messed up for whatever reason, they weren't able to get the first moon cycle correct, and Paysawkh made a stipulation that they could then celebrate Paysawkh in the second month, or Paysawkh Sh'ni. You can look at Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 9, verses 6 to 7 for that. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this video is to remind people that it's never too late to straighten things out with YaHUAH. Although that the second Passover opportunity has already passed, and we're now more than halfway through the third moon cycle, and the Feast of the Wheat Harvest, or Feast of Weeks, was over a week ago. But it's still not too late to straighten things out for yourself with YaH. Okay, so this was the moon as seen on the evening of 3/7/2019 from Bramalea, Ontario, here in Canada. The moon appears tilted still, but in other places it appeared closer to that bowl shape that I was talking about in my last video. It's hard to find up-to-date photos, especially this year, from other nations that did catch that. But it wasn't exactly a perfect alignment. And I just want to talk about that because some people did ask me about that after my first video. I just want to say, for those of us who have watched the moon for over a decade, we notice that things don't exactly seem perfect as far as what our eyes are visually seeing. And so on some nights when the first crescent is seen, for example, after the dark moon period, we go look at the first visible crescent, and sometimes that crescent is really thin, and sometimes it's a little thicker. And it just depends on when we're watching the actual moon coming after the sun goes in the night, or the first night that we actually go and look for it. So likewise, also there is a need for the 13th month, of course, when equal daytime and nighttime are further away from the new moon than it was this year. Of course, when it doesn't line up with the seasonal harvest of Scripture, and as well as other signs of nature that we've been talking about. Over the course of a few years, the new moon will lag further and further away from equal daytime and nighttime and the springtime season. Also, when it comes to watching the moon at the end of each weekly cycle, sometimes we notice that the halfway mark, or the half moon, is a little bit over or under that halfway mark. And so, this just depends on when we saw that first visible crescent and the actual development of the light that's on it as pertains to each end of the weekly cycle. So I want to say first of all that my wife has been gardening here on our property in Mackenzie, BC since we started our first moon cycle of the scriptural year, 3/7/2019 again, and our gardens are now flourishing. A friend of ours, also in southern BC, made an excellent video as well on his YouTube channel, Aibrit Turah, stating that his strawberries always come to fruition in the third moon cycle of the scriptural year, and they are for him now. A question after my last video was, where is the equinox in the Torah? Meaning equal daytime to equal nighttime. Is that in the Torah? In the original Aibrit or Hebrew text, in Shemot, Exodus chapter 34, verse 22, refers to this in the English translation as the turn of the year, and in Aibrit it's actually taqupayt, or what most people are commonly familiar with is the tekufah, according to Masoretic pronunciation. I pronounce this as taqupayt, and that has the tau ending in that particular text that I cited. This text indeed refers to the gathering of the harvest that coincides with equal daytime and nighttime, as well as the full moon, and of course, in this case, the Abib wave sheaf. The taqupayt, or turn of the year, also occurs again, of course, in the fall harvests, or the Feast of Tents. This is another reason why it's important to get the first moon cycle correct, because it will indeed affect your understanding and observance of the turn of the year that happens in the fall as well, in the fall harvest festivals or Feast of Tents. So getting back to the bird migrations and nature spoken about in my last video, Brian Hoeck has since then provided a number of videos regarding the storks and the pelicans, all really great stuff on the Biblical Calendar Forum on Facebook. It's great stuff to watch if you want to check that out. The birds, they know what time it is. They migrate when they're supposed to. I pray that the people of YaHUAH will learn to observe nature, these different signs, and to observe his times as best we can. This year, millions of people celebrated Purim during the same time that our family was observing Pesach, Passover and unleavened bread. On the Roman date of 3/6/19, that is the day before I saw the first new moon, Yoel Halevi, known as Hebrew in Israel on Facebook, gave us some reasons why we should observe the new moon that I saw on 3/6/19 as the first new moon, while at the same time contradicting his own rabbinical rule that refers to adding in the 13th month. And that is, he said clearly that no farmer would start the harvest when the first Abib stalks are examined and found to be Abib. Instead, they would wait a few weeks, and that's exactly what happened, as I said it would happen in my last video. Some stalks were admittedly Abib prior to 3/6/19 when I saw the new moon, and I stated that they would more than be ready by the time of the wave sheaf offering or full moon, middle of the month. And that's exactly what happened. That was on 3/20/2019. As we celebrated Pesach on 3/20/2019, so also Brian Hoeck, Becca Biderman, Brian Convery, and numerous other witnesses directly in the land of Israel produced videos of ripe barley on YouTube. Those videos are still available. I stated that would happen once again in my last video. The problem that Yoel Halevi has, and which numerous traditional Jewish followers have, is that the majority of the stalks, according to their rabbinical rule, were not yet Abib prior to the new moon that I saw on 3/7/2019 on our first new moon sighting. Okay. Again, this is rabbinical tradition. It is not at all based upon the Torah. Nowhere in the Torah does it state that entire fields have to be harvest ready before the first new moon sighting. I appreciate that Yoel was honest enough to state that this is simply a rabbinical Tosefta rule, that the fields have to have a majority of stalks that are Abib by new moon, and not, as Torah shows, by Pesach or Passover, when the wave sheaf offering was to be waved. That is, the amount or measurement of an Aimer, or Omer, as it's commonly pronounced by Masoretic pronunciation. Ayin Mem Rash Aimer is how I pronounce it. Now, the only point in going to examine fields prior to the first new moon of the year is to look at the weather, equal daytime and nighttime, progression of the barley plants, of course, and other signs of nature. Is this indeed going to be the first month in which at least a small number, or Aimer, would be ready by the time that it needs to be offered at Pesach? And I further referred you all to the Zadok's scale. It's a very important measurement of the progression of the barley, known as the Zadok's scale. I referred that to him. That's the measurement of moisture, humidity, and barley growth stages. You can research that on YouTube or Google as well. YaHUAH had no response to that. Brian Hoeck also referred to this measurement in his posts of examinations of the Abib stocks this year. And Kenny Russell also did the same thing. YaHUAH didn't respond to the Zadok scale issue or the examinations that took place this year. As I said in my last video, by the time the following new moon and their Paysawkh comes, they will be miles away from the actual ripening of the barley. They'll be further off from the turn of the year, and they'll be pushed further off from the wheat harvest in the summer, and that's exactly what we saw. It also pushes their Feast of Tents into a much colder season, so they'll be observing a very cold, wintry Feast of Tents this year due to how they've reckoned things. So in short, all the moon cycles are off from their natural harvests and scriptural seasons. So I'd like to now recap the observations from our first moon cycle up until now, and you can decide, of course. Brian Hoeck posted 5 videos of his own summary of the barley field examinations. Again, like I said, on my new moon of 3/7/2019. On that very same day, Becca Biderman posted a video of fresh barley grains that she had found and examined in quite some great detail in her video. We also talked in my last video about the storks, the cranes, the flamingos that migrated. That happened during the first moon cycle of 03/2019. Again, since then we've had a lot of great updates from the land of Israel, confirming the progression of springtime in line with the harvest of Scripture. And following updates I'm going to share with you are from the Biblical Calendar Forum group again. On 3/21/2019, Bruce Brill posted pictures and updates of the barley just as we were celebrating Paysawkh on that time. The abibofgod.com website also has a lot of great information if you want to check that out. A number of really great videos that they did inspecting the barley at that time as well. On 3/24/2019, Randy Folliard posted pictures from Mount Garzim and Abel. I found that very significant because that's where the tent of YaHUAH was in Shechem, and they would read the Torah from Mount Garzim. They'd read the favor that comes upon you for obedience of the commandments and the curses from Mount Abel, the punishments that would happen if you disobey the commandments of YaHUAH. So I found it interesting that he had posted on that particular date about the progression of the barley from those mountains, where it would be waived for acceptance by the priesthood. On the following day, on 3/25/2019, Brian Hoeck made a great video about butterfly migrations. Of course, that pertains to the flowers and the gardens that are progressing. Like I said, during that month, my wife was working on our gardens as well. On 2 days later, 3/27/2019, Brian Hoeck again posted an article and video of the pelicans that were migrating over Hula Lake. And on the 4th month, 7th day, 2019 Roman date, Brian Hoeck posted what I believe to be the best proof that we are on the right track. Because all that time, Yoel Halevi, or Hebrew in Israel, had been against people like Brian and myself, stating that there had to be a minimum amount of acceptable field harvest, and that would be 24 square meters, according to Yoel Halevi. 1/4 of a seah, measurement of grain. Brian Hoeck posted for everybody that there was 400 square meters at that time in his examination alone on the first new moon that we saw on 3/7/2019. So 400 square meters of acceptable ripe barley prior to the new moon that we saw. That started the year, okay? In the 5th month, 9th day, 2019 Roman date again, Becca Biderman made an important update showing pictures of the ripened black emmer wheat. This was just days before our family celebrated the Feast of Weeks in this third moon cycle that we're currently in now. Interestingly enough, as Becca Biderman pointed out, the enemies of Israel, they know when the new year begins and when these harvests are going to start taking place, and they started sending over kites and bombs, causing fires to the barley and the wheat harvests since we started our observance of this first moon cycle in 03/2019. And as of the date 5/5/2019, over 700 projectiles were fired from Gaza with the intention to burn the harvests of Israel and, of course, to cause harm to people. This is a clear indication that the enemies of Israel know the beginning of the scriptural year and when these harvests are going to take place. So that's just a short recap. I hope you've enjoyed this recap of the first new moon up until this third moon as we're observing. Again, I want to wish everybody a glad summer season, regardless of when you started your year. I wish peace to all of those who are doing their best to try and keep the Creator's calendar and observe His festivals and commandments. We look forward to the feasts in the fall season. And so until that time, may YaH favor and keep you. Shalom.